Why have iron ore prices, for example, been surging, and what are Chinese authorities doing to try and cool the rally?
Hi, Sherry. Well, a bit of context on iron ore. It fell a lot in the second half of last year, but then prices really started picking up from about mid-November. And that's mainly due to some monetary easing by China, infrastructure spending pledges, and also a bit of a relaxation on targets, environmental targets, to kind of curb steel production. Authorities are now getting a bit concerned the prices are too high, and they summoned officials on Wednesday to talk about price disclosure. Prices dropped on Wednesday, but they're back up again today. In many ways, iron ore kind of symbolises or highlights the balancing act that China has got here. On the one hand, it wants to stimulate a slowing economy, and it's pledging a lot more spending. But on the other hand, it is very mindful of, the inflationary impact of this.
There's also the property piece as well. Has that really had an impact on the longer-term outlook for steel, copper, aluminium, so many of these industrial commodities that are linked to property demand and construction demand?
Yeah, well, it's been a sort of a dampener on prices for a range of metals since in the second half of last year when the property market weakness started. And the outlook for this year is not good. And property is very important in China. I mean, it accounts for about a third of Chinese steel demand and around 20% of the demand for metals like copper, aluminium, and zinc. Sales and prices are expected to drop again this year. Steel might be a bit harder hit than the other metals, and the reason for that is developers are expected to focus more on completions, which require those sort of metals rather than buying new land or starting new projects. Further out, the outlook is a bit better, mainly as a lot of this Chinese infrastructure spending comes in. In the 5-year plan, there's an emphasis on big data centres, electricity networks, transport, and sort of green energy projects, and a lot of those are, use a lot of metals like copper, aluminum, and so forth.